just kick this thing. FABcasters,
Let's
welcome to a very special episode. I got with me here in my living room, well, by technology,
Yeah.
Justin Torrence from the Heart of Man movie. I've been talking about this movie nonstop. I know you don't like getting all the accolades and the glory. Of course it's to God, but I just can't believe that I'm interviewing you here. I'm just gonna pick your brain, all right? So just to get warmed up.
Hey, thank you so much for sharing so much, man. For sharing our film, it means a lot. So thank you so much for that.
Absolutely. I've been sending this thing to my friends. I'm like, hey guys, especially my best friend over here, Matt, and just all the guys. I say, hey, I know you're sick and tired of hearing me say this, but you haven't watched this thing. You got to watch it, and you got to get on it. So my brother,
that's awesome, man.
Buddy, he just promised to watch it. But without
where are you located?
I'm in right now. I'm in Virginia Beach.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. How about yourself?
Cool. Atlanta.
Okay. So down south a little bit.
Yeah.
Right on. Yeah, we move around a lot, and I'm just glad I'm on the East Coast to get a good same time as you. So a little bit about yourself. Where'd you grow up?
I spent about 20 years of my life in the Chicago suburbs. And then I've been down in the South here for about 13 years and then 4 years in Hawaii.
Right on. Oh, bro, you talk Fiji.
You pick up bro, I can, but
yeah.
But too howdy, bro. Too howdy.
Yeah. So with that, I just have to say this too. Like my mom and dad got married in Hawaii in the 70s, and they grew up there, and just a lot of family over there. I think everybody, unless you're Adam, unless you came from the dirt, you migrated there. So just throwing that out there, because it's one of my it's one of my pet peeves, man. Adam is the only local.
Yeah, very few actual Hawaiians, like true Hawaiians, left.
That's right. That's right.
A lot of different nationalities, melting pot.
What were you doing in Hawaii?
So I went out there initially. It's kind of a crazy long story, so I'll give you the short version of it. But basically, I was a youth pastor near Chicago, and just got up one morning and was, just kind of like, "Hey, Lord, what's on your mind?" And he just said Hawaii. Like, I was like, "Okay." Well, I looked outside. It was like January. I'm like, there's about a foot of snow outside. I'm sure this might be more Justin than Jesus. So I just kept like praying and then feeling like he was saying he was going to bring me out there to be a part of something, and he was going to speak to me about the plans he had for my future. So I just kind of kept walking forward. A bunch of miraculous stuff happened. I end up, I have no idea what I'm going to be doing out in Hawaii. And he's like, there's an event I want you to be a part of.
Okay.
So long story short, he ends up like showing me in some pretty crazy ways that there's this big event happening with YWAM, Youth of the Mission in Kona. So all this stuff works out where I get this plane ticket for basically free. I got like a really cheap place to stay. And I get out there and the Lord's like, start walking toward the plans I have for your future. And he reminded me of two visions I had. One was fire spreading all over the world, starting in California. And the other one was seeing a film about King David to be made. And I wasn't a filmmaker, didn't know anything about it, but thought I feel like I'm supposed to be a part of helping this happen.
Right.
So like that day or the next day, this guy named David Cunningham, his parents founded YWAM. David's a film director, spent a decade plus in Hollywood shooting films for big studios. He gets up on stage at this big event that YWAM is having. He's like, I just got the rights to this book about King David and Mighty Men, and I'm making it into a film. And I was just like, my jaw dropped, because the Lord brought me all the way out here and said, start keeping your eyes open for these kind of opportunities.
Right.
Specifically around this King David film. This guy gets up and says he's making this film. So I was super intrigued, went back to Chicago, and within less than a week, a church split started happening at the church I was going to. And I found myself just saying, like, Lord, what's going on? What should I do? And he's like, don't worry about all the turmoil. I have something different for you. I want you to be a part of this film. And I was reminded about this film school I learned about that is going on at the YWAM base in Kona. And I never done any acting or anything like that, but I always wanted to. So I'm like, let me check into this acting school. So I ended up signing up for the acting school. Going out there, I've been trying to get in touch with David Cunningham and just saying, hey, man, I had this crazy vision happen, this crazy word from the Lord, and I just got to connect with you because I feel like I'm supposed to be involved in this film somehow. I don't have any experience, but I don't know what to do next other than just talk to you. Anyway, I couldn't get a hold of this guy. I ended up signing up for this acting school. I sell everything I have. Within 2 weeks, I moved to Hawaii.
Yep.
My first day of acting class was on my 30th birthday. This is 2011, so I'm like 25 now.
Okay.
And the second week of the school, David Cunningham is there speaking, and I connected to him. I'm like, dude, I got this crazy story. Boom, boom, boom. He invites me to work with his team. And after the acting school, I ended up working with Cunningham for a couple of years in development on a film about King David and his mighty men. It's still in the works of being made. But in the process of that, I fell in love with acting. It's something I wanted to do since I was a small child, and I never really had the opportunity. And then here the Lord is bringing me into that. So yeah, kind of, I guess, like kind of a long story made. Initially started in acting. That's how I, like kind of how I moved, like from Chicago, and I was in Atlanta on and off between my younger years in high school and stuff like that. And so then I found myself in Atlanta when I was in Hawaii, and I was like, I just have to be an actor. I got to get out of, off the island. There just wasn't enough opportunities for acting. So I came to Atlanta, where there's a lot of film happening right now.
Right.
Here we are.
Right on. And yeah, I was in Hawaii we moved from Hawaii to here end of 2015. But there's something about the island. There's aloha in the atmosphere. I believe I got saved over there. 7 years into full-time ministry. So there's something special in Hawaii. That was the first time that my wife and I had experienced true community. And I'm talking about true community as in being fully known by people, being fully loved because we're fully known and people accepted us anyway. So it's the place where I became secret free with my wife. I'll never forget that day. We lived in Kaneohe, and I said, babe, I've been in bondage to I've been a slave to fear our whole marriage. We've been married about 7 years, and then so that was it. And I think it had something to do with the aloha in the air.
Wow.
So I watched a movie like, so I see something like Heart of Man, and I go, man, I know what was behind this. I might not know the producers. I don't know Chad Veach personally. I've been following him a while now. I just read I have Faith Forward Future here. I have a copy that my brother gave me. Just been trying to follow the movement of what God's doing. I've been noticing that there's a huge paradigm shift in the past 10 years in the church, like from Michael Frost and Alan Hirsch wrote on this, but the attractional model versus just penetrating the culture. We move every few years, and we were in Rhode Island a couple of years ago, and we met in a movie theater at a church called Ocean Point. Now we're at Virginia Beach in Acts 29 plant. We meet in town center in a performing arts theater. Yeah. And so we're using communal. Anyways, I would like to get you guys to come out to Anchor Church, sit around the table, have a feast, just like you said.
That would be awesome.
Unpack the gold. So with that, man, let's talk about the movie, man.
Let's do it.
I'm a freedom addict. I'm a Jesus freak and a freedom addict, and so I see things like I saw you were wearing a shirt that said "Freedom Fighter."
Yeah.
Could you just really quick unpack that, because I got to get one of those shirts.
Yeah, it's actually a really cool company. I connected with them on Instagram. I don't even know how. I think maybe they started following me, and I just looked into their stuff.
Yeah.
It's a couple of gals out of Southern California. They started this company, and the proceeds go to help aid financially ministries that are set free from sex trafficking and all this stuff. Citizen, and I think it's like that. And on Instagram, and I follow them, so you can look through the people I follow and find them. But yeah, they've been really awesome. I've been trying to help support them in whatever way I can. So they were kind enough to send me out some shirts. So I did a couple of. I tried to wear the shirts and mention them whenever it makes sense. And I thought that was a great time. I was in Bogota in front of 14,000 people. So I felt like a good moment to present their product. So
there's something about like that, I don't want to say movement or wave, because it's just Jesus and it's just what he's doing. He's in the business of restoration. Yeah. But freedom has been a very predominant theme. I mean, whether it's in music or in films, maybe it's always been there, and I haven't been paying attention. Yeah. But so thanks for sharing that. I have a friend that's also involved. It's she has a ministry called Grace, and it's also combating sex trafficking. And for those of us who've been in third world countries, it's a sad reality, but it's also a platform. It's a prophetic moment to
Seems
speak
like
truth.
sorry, I didn't want to cut you off there.
No, go ahead.
To say that it seems like so many people, it's been really cool, obviously, over the past probably decade. I think it's when I really started hearing about this kind of, really stand against the injustice of human trafficking and sex slavery, probably about 10 years ago. International Justice Mission.
That's right. That's right.
IJM was doing some stuff, and that was when I was in college, and a bunch of young, fiery-eyed activists. I was in school in Chicago and doing stand-ins basically in the park, at Buckingham Fountain in Chicago, sleeping overnight in cardboard boxes. Just whatever. But I think for the last 10 years, there's been a lot of that. And what's cool about this now is, especially, with, social media and stuff being so, so accessible now to people all over the world. You have a lot of companies like Grace or like Citizen and Darling that are popping up. And, it's like all these companies, even if they're helping out at the tune of like $1,000 a month to these ministries, it's still like collectively, it's just so accessible to be able to start something that creates movement. So it's been really cool.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's even mainstream actors that have been standing up and making, producing software. I think it was Ashton Kutcher. I saw his video about how passionate it is. So it's good because God's in the business of restoring all things that are broken.
Yeah.
So
come on, man.
People could just look up the trailer if they want to get the synopsis for The Heart of Man. So our bar's take right here. I think when I watched this documentary, it's an explanation of how sin blinds you, binds you, and then grinds you.
Come on.
And it is.
We got a rap artist over here, man. I love it.
I've been hearing that since I was young. Like, I think I heard Greg Laurie say it one time. It blinds you, and so the film depicts that just so well. I think it's the best depiction of the prodigal son that I've ever seen. And I watched a lot of movies.
Wow, thanks, man.
So
I think one of the, just to kind of jump in on that, the blinding and the binding and the grinding, there's a scene in the film, and it's a really cool story that is being spoken out loud by William Paul Young, author of The Shack. While you're seeing the prodigal, being lured by this beautiful woman into this scene, right, where it's like, this is everything he's ever wanted. And I think the cool part about that scene, and some people watch it, we've gotten, plenty of emails about people, from people saying, you shouldn't have had that scene in there. It's like too risque. Just so everybody knows that watching it, this girl was not naked. She was covered. It was movie magic and all this stuff. But it looks like, this guy is going, with this beautiful woman in this waterfall in this beautiful location. And she's been luring him there, and finally they're alone. And she's inviting him in, right? She unrobes. And what I love about that part, and I don't want to give away too much of a spoiler, but at the end of the day, it's not what he thought it was, and I think that's one of the best truths that we can look at is that, there's a better yes, which is like something that we always say. And no matter how good sin looks, it doesn't pay off, what you think it will. And some of the hard part is it's like backpedaling, like getting yourself out of that situation or out of the repercussions of that situation. Sometimes sometimes the Lord's just trying to protect us from that. He's like, dude, I don't want you to waste your time, like a year of your life, trying to backpedal through all this hurt. Let me just save you the trouble and just don't go there. It's not even that the act itself is like some kind of, like, sex isn't a sin. Sex is good. It's all the stuff that happens around it when it's not in the right context that can bring destruction to our lives, and I've learned from my own mistakes in that category. Hindsight's 20/20. That it's not what you think it's going to be. When you don't, the Lord's word does, and it's so hard for people to grasp this, and me too sometimes. But the Lord tells us things because I think every command to not sin is only because He has something better for us.
That's right.
He's like, I got something better for you. So it's like, if we could just dive into saying, man, what's the best thing the Lord has here?
Mm-hmm.
And just run after that, He's not a killjoy, that's for sure.
Yeah. Now the very first the very first quote in the whole thing is William Paul Young in the trailer, and he says, "Secrets have been killing me my whole life." So
Yeah.
we're talking about like blatant sin versus, most people don't know that having a secret, which is harboring shame and guilt and living there, is
Yeah.
blatant rebellious sin when God's offering freedom. And like
Yeah.
Galatians 5, freedom, like it's for freedom that Christ has created us to walk free. So that's what I love about this movie is I don't care who's watching it. It applies
Yeah.
to everybody. And so my wife made a good comment as we were watching it last night again, that so maybe someone would watch it and say, well, yeah, those guys, that's hardcore, adultery, hardcore
Right.
pornography. So I don't relate because I haven't done that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the movie provides a platform to go into the biggest theme, which I think was freedom from the true enemy, which is shame and guilt. The stories of Jackie
Yeah.
Hill, Perry, and then all those guys
Yeah.
experiencing unconditional love by being fully known
That's it, man.
in community. So yeah. I mean, from your take, how applicable is this? I mean, is this a universal film that anybody could watch, or do you have to believe in Jesus or be a church person?
Yeah, that's a great question, man. There's a lot of ways you can chop that up, a lot of different angles you can look at that from. But at the end of the day, there's something, again, kind of going back to the comment that I think what God tells us is practical. That's why he says things, right? He loves us. He wants what's best for us.
Yeah.
Therefore, he tells us practical things to help us get the best things that he has for us. In the same regard, I think there are some things that, and this is what this film really focuses on. This film doesn't actually focus on sexual sin or sexual brokenness. This film focuses on knowing that we're fully loved by God and we're accepted no matter what our brokenness is. And he has a call out to us. He's drawing us. He's luring us. He wants fellowship with us. So I think at the end of the day, this film is for everybody. It's not just for men. It's not just for people with sexual addiction. And it's not even just for believers. Because the core message of the film is like, you can be known for who you are and loved anyway. And ultimately, that's what every human wants. And I think that's the basis of a lot of fear. That's the basis of a lot of hiding, of a lot of lying.
Right.
Is there's something in us that feels like if they were to know that about me, surely, I would be unlovable. I'd be this, I'd be that, I'd be whatever. And so, yeah, it's a message saying, there is a God that loves you unconditionally. And as well, then it kind of ups the bar for everybody around to say, look, maybe somebody comes out of the darkness and says, this is what I deal with.
Yeah.
And there would be a room full of fools if not one person in that place was to say, well, I've dealt with that or whatever it is. So I think it's a big call as well for there to be, I guess at the end of the day, it takes the pressure off of being honest about our brokenness, right? I can call some friends of mine and be like, dude, I'm dealing with this. I felt this temptation. You got to pray for me here. Or dude, I gave in here. I forgot about the better yes. And they can sit there and say, dude, I get it. The Lord loves you, man. He really has something better for you. So let me just remind you what the better thing he has.
Yeah.
Forget about the past. Don't worry about that. It's not who you are.
Yeah.
Let's look at what he's actually offering you,
Absolutely.
So I don't know if all that makes sense. I know it's we're trying to pack a lot into, a short conversation, but at the end of the day, it is for everybody because it's about a deep human desire and need. It's innate. It's built within us to be known and loved. I mean, that's what love is. You know me and you want to be around me anyway.
That's right.
And really, I think one thing that we've been quoting as we've gone through promoting this film and talking about the film afterward in front of a lot of groups is there's something that we get to understand about God, about our creator through this film. It's that, people hear that God loves you and for God so loved the world, he gave his only son for you and all this stuff. But it's so hard for many of us throughout our lives when we close our eyes and think about his face, to think he's looking at us with kindness, that he wants to be in front of us, that he's not disappointed in us, and that he might actually like who we are. Yeah. That maybe he actually likes Justin. Maybe he actually likes those quirks that I have. Maybe he likes you. Maybe he likes everybody. Maybe he actually likes who we are as people. And that changes everything, because then it's like, wow, this God is really intimate and actually wants to know me, and can just that's the whole beginning of shame being wiped away, because you know that you can fall and it doesn't define who you are.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. If I can go here, what does community look like for Justin Torrance? Like, you're on the road, you travel a lot, I'm assuming, and
Yeah.
where's your community, and you can let the world, or at least the FABcasters, know what that looks like.
Yeah. It's a mixture of things. I close with my dad, so me and my dad talk on a pretty regular basis.
Nice.
Jason Paymer, who's a producer on The Heart of Man, he and I have gotten really close, so we talk very frequently. He's one of the guys we go back and forth, just being like, we can call each other and be like, dude, I fell into this thing, or I was tempted by this thing, or I'm struggling with this thing. And we remind each other who we really are, and what the Father really thinks of us. And as soon as you know that, like, the Lord sees and he loves you anyway, he calls you his son and he likes who you are. Immediately, whatever that thing was that was tempting you feels so small in comparison with that truth. So I have, a lot of people over the phone, some close friends, and I have some great friends here in Atlanta that are fellow filmmakers. We meet on a regular basis, kind of a Christian filmmaker small group, and filmmaker small group for Christians. We don't necessarily, only make Christian films or anything like that. So it's all those different things all mixed together. I have a roommate. I'm roommates with a guy here in Atlanta who's a believer and who's an actor, and so I think it's all those things, and I think this film and me being a part of it has impacted all my friends, because it's caused me to be more ruthlessly honest and ruthlessly gracious with other people as well. Listening to whatever they could possibly tell me wouldn't make me turn away from them in disgust. I'd be like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
We live in a fallen world. I get that. You're not alone. You're not weird. Judgment. I think no judgment, man. It's like, oh yeah, I try to tell. I don't have any kids, but I have nieces and nephews, and when they get to a certain age, when I know they're going to start struggling with things, I tell them, I said, you can tell me anything and you'll never surprise me.
That's right.
So you can always talk to me and you're never going to surprise me. I guarantee I've heard it before and probably worse. There's nothing you could say that surprised me.
Yes.
So I think community looks a lot like that. When I'm here, I got my friend group, I got my roommate, I got my dad. When I'm on the road, I'm usually on the road with somebody, that I have some kind of fellowship with.
Sure.
So yeah, it looks like a variety of things.
That's awesome. Yeah. Had a really good thought.
You lost it.
Yep. How was it how often do you go back and watch the film and you just think about your own life and you're like, man, I did that cycle again, just like last month.
Yeah. I think the journey that I'm on, and the film will tie back into this. I think the journey that I'm on, and I think ultimately the journey that we're all on, whether we realize it right now or not, is a journey in believing that God really is as good as he says he is, and he actually is as interested in us and our fullness as he says that he is, and he actually likes us as much as he does. So, I think my journey since, to answer your question about watching it, I don't usually sit down and watch it anymore. I've seen it so many times, just being at events and stuff like that. But every time I watch it, the Holy Spirit still uses it to speak something to me about what I'm going through. Right. Still draws things. I've cried. There hasn't been one time I've seen this film where I haven't had tears in my eyes, and I don't cry at films, and I do not cry on a regular basis. I'm just not a crier, But there's always something that hits me deeply. So, as far as how this film continues to impact me, I just think that for me, it's an echo, like it will be for many people. It's an echo of what the Lord was already starting to kind of stir in our lives. The questions we had about his goodness and his grace and all this stuff. And I know right before I filmed this, there was a period of my life where anytime I go to the Lord and say, Lord, what are you thinking? What do you want me to do today? And all this. And he would just be like, what do you want to do? Yeah. And he had me on this journey of like, it's okay to be me. I don't have to be somebody else. Right. And so often in the church, we're just like, what else can I do to serve the Lord? I need to be better. I need to fix this. I need to do that. And the Lord's like, dude, calm down. What do you want to do? You're significant. I designed you with desires and stuff
That's
that are
great.
good, so all that to tie into the whole question about the film and how it continues to impact me. I love it that it's such a big thing. We can learn stuff from God in church and we can forget the notes we took. This thing is so big and so in my face. I cannot forget his relentless goodness toward me. So it's been just such a gift to have that constant reminder, on a regular basis. So
Absolutely. Yeah. His reckless love of God. So let me wrap it up. I know your schedule is packed. So
it's been a busy week.
yeah, man. I just appreciate your time.
It's my pleasure.
That says heart, any movie that says heart, it captures my attention because the heart of every issue is the issue of the heart. And so this thing can sell. I want it to get out there, and I want to support you guys when you come out to different churches.
Right? Come out and see it. Yeah.
As the church, you guys go to other fellowships and just unpack. Could you leave us with this? Since it's all about the heart, this is what I forgot. It came to me. How does a man or woman guard their heart across the board, like human beings? How do we guard our heart and maintain the freedom that we're supposed to live in?
Yeah, that's good. I guess I'm going to start in a little bit of a sidetrack and work my way back to the answer with that. I think that one of the most devastating things to our hearts and then to our lives and the things we end up chasing is thinking that believing about God that he does not have goodness or pleasure for us in any way, shape, or form, right? That he's this cold, dark, distant figure that just sits over in the corner and judges us. We can never do enough, right? One of my favorite films is a movie called Chocolat with Juliette Binoche and
such a good movie.
Yeah, I'm forgetting his name. The big guy, I forget the actor's name.
Yeah,
Johnny Depp. He doesn't even have a huge role, but he's in there. And what I love about the film is it so exposes that this withholding from pleasure is holiness in some way.
Yeah.
And
that's the older brother syndrome in the Prodigal Son.
The older brother syndrome, right? I have to do more, be more, withhold more, toe the line. And I think it really is about diving into the better yes. If Jesus tells a parable where if a child asks for a loaf of bread, the father's not going to give him a stone or yada yada, this whole, it's in Luke. And if that's what God is telling us that he's like, if he's like, I satisfy your desires with good things so that your youth is renewed like the eagles, right? I'm going to fill you from the inside, make you feel alive. Films like Chocolat, exposing the darkness of this, self-torturing, withholding from things just because they're pleasurable, right? I think that the more that we can, obviously, just hear what the Father says over us, learn to hear the voice of the Father over us and the good things he says to us. And in that process, when he leads us to experience pleasure in great ways, to believe that it's actually him that can be leading us into the better yes, right? If he's saying no about something, it's because there's something better. So what's the better thing? And I think at the end of the day, we have to say, all right, Lord, where's the good thing? I know you love me. I know you care about me and my fullness of life. So where's the best thing at, And I think ultimately that helps because that fills our hearts with the truth and with the goodness of the Lord, heaven on earth. And we're filled with that. The alternatives don't look as good. It's easier to see the lies, right? It's like, I've tasted steak. That hot dog is not steak, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And again, this isn't talking about a moralistic way of living. This isn't talking about just doing better or being better. This is saying like, there's something better that God really is offering us because he gives good gifts to his children. I think we've all loved somebody and seen them going through it down a destructive path and wanted better for them. And that deep longing that you have for that person to experience better, but you can't do anything about it. Sure. To realize that that's how God looks at us. He's like, I really want better for you. I'm not disappointed in you, but I want better. And if we allow the Lord to walk us down that path and fill our hearts with those things, then I think that the other stuff just kind of falls to the side,
Absolutely. Yeah. Why would I settle for this old McDonald's meat when I've had the best steak?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a process, and I think one of the beautiful things, right, about this film, I was talking to a guy the other day. I never talked to anybody in Starbucks. This guy moved out of the way so I could get through. I said, thank you, introduced myself, and that was it. And I happened to be on my computer looking at a website for something. And he's like, dude, you're the guy from The Heart of Man. I was like, yeah, man. Which is cool because you're like, cool, I feel famous for a second. It's kind of neat. But then he proceeds to tell me a story where, and he was very open with the story, so he wouldn't mind me sharing it. But 20 years ago, he was married and had 2 kids. And then 18 years ago, he had dealt with homosexual attraction for a long time, had kind of pushed him over the edge, left his wife for 17 years, lived a homosexual lifestyle for the last 2 years of that, was married to a man. And
Wow.
And he had a great job. He was going through a job change, had a great job opportunity, was praying for wisdom. God, I know you're real. What should I do? And in that process, the Lord began to draw his heart back, right? In the process of asking the Lord for wisdom for a good thing and feeling the kindness of God, the Lord started drawing his heart back. And he realized that life was with God and that he hadn't felt that way in a long time. To feel the goodness of God, he hadn't felt it in a while, And so I was sitting there talking to him, and he's like, my attraction isn't gone, but I know that I've tasted what God has, and I know I want that more. That's life. I know that that's actually going to satisfy me. So I don't know how I'm going to deal with all the attraction stuff, and the Lord's already helping me, and thank God. But it wasn't about being better. It was about saying, I see that God is actually super cool and loving, and he's good, and he satisfied me. I want what he has. I don't know about the rest of this stuff.
Yeah.
So that's the beauty of saying I have everything figured out and everything. I'm making a choice. I'm going to go to the altar and I'm going to say, I'm going to do better. It just doesn't work that way. How it works is the Father walking alongside of it and saying, I got you, man. You're doing great. And you did so good today, so-and-so. Man, I can't believe that you had so good that you had the boldness to walk out of that same-sex relationship, and so he's so proud of you. And you still deal with that thing. I'm going to help you with that, but be easy on yourself. Let's walk together.
That's right.
He's not judging you, so I think all that stuff fits together, just this ease, because it's about relationship with the Father. It's not about performance or getting better, doing it right. It's a journey, man. We got to have grace for ourselves and for each other in the journey. It's just a journey. If you skip to the end, you likely skipped a couple. If you get to the end and you fast forward there, you might have skipped a couple steps. You'll likely have to go back. It's relational, man. It's like, it's like a shotgun wedding. You're married, but you don't know the person you're married to. So just like, just like walk in a relationship, and it's going to be that much sweeter. It's going to be real. So.
Absolutely, man. If I could paint it in a picture, it'd be like playing music with the Father, just being present, and it's better than everything else. Well, Justin, Torrence, thank you so much for your time. How can people get a hold of you if they want you to come out and have a meal with them? And
we actually just launched something what we're calling the Heart of Man Church Experiences, where we have a couple different opportunities. Maybe you saw that. So you can go to our website, heartofmanmovie.com, and on the left side in our menu, there's an option that says experiences. You can click on that, and there's an option for us to come out to your church and do an event. People can do a church-wide campaign where they're walking through this message together through our guide, having a screening of the film and stuff like that. And you can, reach us through that, and hopefully, we'll get to see some of you guys out at your church. We'd love to do it. We love doing those events where we sit down and talk to people. So
what an honor, privilege. For his glory. Thanks again for being on the show. I'm gonna let you go now. I kept you longer than I intended to.
It's fine, man. No, thank you for having me, man. It really is a pleasure. It's really good meeting you. Hopefully I'll get to see you face to face. We'll share the aloha a little bit.
Absolutely. Hey, let me, in FABcast style, pray for us, and then I'm going to hit end meeting right here after we're done. Father, thank you for the Heart of Man movie and how applicable and how relevant the message of getting to the heart of issues, of saying yes to the better yes, how relevant that is, Lord. It's for freedom. You've created us to walk in freedom, Lord. I pray anybody hearing this who's wondering if what they're choosing is, if you have something better, if that would spark something, and they would say, you know what, I'm going to try God to see if he really does have something better, more satisfying.
Mm-hmm.
Lord, I pray the greatest blessing on this film,
Thanks.
on the church experience. Lord, protect Justin and protect his heart as he guards his heart. Protect the producers, everybody involved here. Protect them, that this message of freedom from shame and guilt, true freedom of being fully known and fully loved in community gets out there.
Yeah.
Because you're restoring all things. Your kingdom is here and now. May we be living life on earth as it is in heaven. And we pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Talk to you later, FABcasters. Love you, brother. Aloha.
Aloha.